up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A soul right of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
Hello and welcome to this Division 2 Round 3 game. I am Celtic Tiger Brennan. Alongside me is Rob Goes Who Dreams Price. This is Team Flying Ostriches versus Javelin Gaming. How are we doing, Rob?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Just looking forward to hopefully a few exciting games for Division 2 round now.
Yeah, and this should be a pretty good matchup considering they're both 2-0, but we see the bans flying in here real quick. Lysandra, Corky, Jax, Renekton.
Yeah, exactly, and I think the Corky ban is much needed there. Deputy Dank is very fond of that champion, has proved that he does really need a ban towards that champion. And there's a Lux ban as well, which we were talking about just before the game started. Fardio has been very fond of that champion these couple of games.
Yeah, played it in the last two and really did a good job in the last game as well. Consistent bindings carried the team through, and I think the big thing on the other side for me is the Jax ban against Lemon Lover. We saw him in the last game where Javelin didn't look quite so comfortable against Ferocity, but Lemon Lover's split push allowed them to easily carry through from there.
Yeah, exactly, and the thing is as well that with these kind of more targeted bans, we see a lot of these big power champions still open. I mean, you've got the Grave still open. You've got maybe something which has become into the flavour of the month now, that Udyr pick as well. Stuff like that is still going to be on the table, so it'll be interesting to see if either team decides to capitalise on that.
But it is going to be the Alistair lock-in early, almost certainly going to some support, although we have seen it in the mid lane previously in Division 1. But a nice pick up there, and a really, really versatile support pick in the sense that really good at disengage, really good at engage, and with Windspeaker's Blessing is quite the sustained support also.
Exactly, and with the changes in the recent patch as well, Alistair actually got a really nice buff where you can buffer the pulverize along with the headbutt, so it becomes near impossible unless you do really badly to miss that combo. So it's really going to help out with people who are playing Alistair as well. And we're going to see the Lee and the Tristana picked up on the other side, so really prioritising the Tristana there, which is a little bit unusual, not the most not the AD carry we'd see very, very often at the moment.
Yeah, especially considering, as you mentioned, things like Graves are open. He is the highest win rate in AD carry, and it's pretty clear to see why, but obviously these guys mightn't necessarily be comfortable on it, even top lane or jungle, so they have left it up again. So we'll see if it does actually get picked up, or even if other power picks get picked up, as you said. Udyr would be an interesting one, especially considering we saw the split pushes, a big thing of Javelin Gaming's win in their last game. See if they decide to bring up that Udyr again and split push from a different person.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though to see the Graves picked up here, but they're actually going to opt for the Nidalee because I know that Lemon Lover and Moo also both play that champion. So, but no, opting more for that Nidalee, looking towards maybe that poke style of composition with the Alistair there, just to guarantee the engage after they've poked them down a lot. But not really showing too much, and also looking probably a Lulu in the mid lane. I don't think that Lemon Lover's style of play really suits a Lulu there, so probably looking more towards Padward in the mid lane there with that Lulu pickup.
Yeah, and I think it will probably go to the mid lane, and on top of that, it does really give way to a really nice kind of poke comp, and you use Alistair specifically for disengage, and suddenly you have Lulu and Alistair keeping these poke heavy champions safe, essentially. So I'd be looking for 10 slot to pick up the Ezreal maybe with this, and another champion, maybe something a little more versatile like Ahri in the mid lane.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see. And there's the Brom there coming in for Banter of the Opera. He has been very, very fond of that. And the Malphite there as well. So that's going to be very, very nice there with that synergy between the Brom and the Malphite with those ultimates. So that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for them to disengage on the side of Javelin Gaming if they do opt for this poke heavy style.
Yeah, and I think Malphite's the perfect thing to pick up when you see that they're opting for something based on poke, because you try set up a poke comp, you can't avoid a Malphite engaging onto you.
Exactly, and it looks like they may have steered away from picking up the Kalista there for 10 slots, so kind of realising that we are going to have to do something here. So it'll be interesting to see what that last pickup for the top lane will be. I'm guessing they're going to opt maybe more towards that split pushing style again for Lemon Lover. I mean, he has really favoured that, but we're not too sure at the moment. I mean, there'll be plenty of disengage, there, with the Lulu, with the Alistair, so it won't be too big. And it's actually might be the Nasus here, so yeah, it is. It's going to be definitely aiming towards that split push, but they're going to need a lot of time for him to stack up.
I mean, Nasus is such an interesting pick to pick into Malphite in the sense that Malphite really struggles to punish him in lane, being a tank as well, but I'm interested to see whether it works, because we did see in the last game in the sense that he went a big kind of damage Jax build that didn't really work in team fights, but was able to clean them up very well, much like Nasus can do. However, as you said, it does require that he's allowed farm up, but he might get that opportunity. It's on Lotus Beta now on this Lee Sin to start shutting him down, because Malphite will really struggle to do so by himself.
Exactly, but it also kind of works into Team Flying Archer's comp here, because the Tristana is going to need that time to stack R2 reach that point where she's quite strong. It kind of fits with the Nasus as well, because the Nasus will get that time to start stacking up. But the main problem is Tristana, of course, does take towers like there's no tomorrow. So if they are to try and leave Nasus in a lane to split push to get those extra little bit of stacks going, the Tristana will definitely be able to punish that, because she can take down those towers so quickly.
Yeah, and the big thing for me as well, if you look at those late game team fights, one of Nasus's biggest struggle is getting onto the enemy team. He has a Whimsy now to speed him up, so he can just run at someone, wither the AD carry, and then suddenly he's on top of the immobile champions like the Vel'Koz, and the Tristana will have to use all the disengage to keep him off it.
Exactly, he will have a little bit of help there from Banter of the Opera with those concussive blow stacks and some of the slows coming in, but that wither is so painful once you hit that kind of when you start putting a few points into it, because of how, I think it's a 70% slow it comes up to, or something ridiculous like that. So it is going to be very, very difficult, particularly for this Vel'Koz, to try and disengage from that when he is sped up and running directly into your face.
Yeah, and I think the Alistair on top of that is just excellent engage from the side of Javelin Gaming. However, as we previously mentioned, they need to scale up in that top lane, and in the other lanes, not so much. The Kalista Alistair was actually something we've been Ushid has been talking about specifically, and it's actually a really good combo in lane, in the sense that it's very hard to punish, and at level 6 it has such an amazing engage.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have that pulverize and also the knockup from the Kalista also. That's going to be doing an awful lot there. So it's actually going to really facilitate a lot of what, if the Nasus does stack up now, this is the case, it's going to facilitate them a lot, because there is so much CC on their side, and it's kind of done nicely because they're lacking so much CC in a lot of their other picks. The Nasus has the Wither, but no real hard CC to lock them up, and the same with the Lulu, unless she's able to land the wall growth on a couple of people. So the Alistair Kalista combo is really nice, just to round out the CC that the rest of the lanes are already missing.
Yeah, and I think one thing we haven't touched on is Fardio's pickup of the Vel'Koz. With the Lux band, he has played it the last 2 games, so we haven't seen what he goes to after that. Vel'Koz, I think he's going to try play in the same way, in the sense that he's hoping to just land that one knockup and quickly combo someone down, poking them out with Qs beforehand. So we'll see how well that goes for him. Consider like a champion that's even further out of the meta in mid lane than Lux would be considered.
Exactly, but I think he's going to have a little bit of a hard time getting that burst down, because of course you do have the wild growth and the shields coming in from Lulu. You've also got the heal from the Alistair and the Nidalee as well. So there's actually a lot of sustain on the side of Javelin Gaming here. So finding that one pick might be a little bit difficult, and especially when his ultimate, he has to stay in pretty much a stasis. He cannot move. It makes it so much easier for all of these extra CC and also the Nasus to get on top of him, which is going to make it very difficult. His positioning is going to have to be really on point in these fights.
Yeah, and even ignoring that, if you simply say the Alistair still has headbutt up, suddenly the ultimate's cancelled immediately. So There's a few reasons why Vel'Koz is out meta, his immobility, but even when other immobile mages came into kind of their own limelight, he's still fallen out because a lot of his damage is on his passive, which is going to be a bit of big struggle because, as you said, they have the sustain, they have the shields, so see if he can make it work, but it is going to be a struggle.
Exactly. Yeah, I think this is really going to be pretty much a case of who gets the lead in the early stages of the game, because if Team Flying Ostriches are able to get that advantage, it's going to really shut down the Nasus's ability to hit that late game power point where he's just an absolute, like, he's a raid boss, he's impossible to take down. But if Javelin Gaming are able to take that lead in the early stages of the game, it means that Nasus will then have that time to stack up and become that split push monster. So it's really going to be an early game. Sorry, there's going to be a lot of pressure in the early game for one team to take advantage.
And we saw Javelin struggle against that in their game against Frosty Blue. They did get a lot. Frosty got a lot of successful ganks off in the early game, simply due to a lack of wards and a lack of simply paying attention to their flanks. So we'll see if Javelin have learned from that and are taking it into this game to avoid falling behind, because it almost cost them the game and they did win off a split push. So forcing yourself into that win condition isn't great, but it's still possible given what they've drafted as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see. I really thought that a Graves pickup would have come in at some point during this pick ban, but no, neither team really opted for that, because it might have opted or given Javelin Gaming that little bit of extra wave clear that they need. Sure, they have the Lulu there, but the Graves would have been nice as well, just to try and have that instant wave clear continuously up, so the Nasus can opt into that split push. But they have gone for the Nidalee here, so Moo may be a little bit more comfortable on that champion. I know it's his most played this season, so we'll have to see what he's able to do on that champion and if he really warrants that pick up there.
Yeah, and I think he did decide to go for it when other big champions were open. And the wave clear is my biggest worry for them, because in the 4v4 that they'll be looking to set up while they have Nasus top lane, all Malphite has to do is TP down and ult into that, and it'll be difficult for them to disengage it. But it's still possible. They do have stuff like Lulu and Alistair to save the Kalista, who's also very mobile. It's just the wave clear with a Vel'Koz poking you out is a bit difficult to manage. But we are loading onto the Rift now for this game, and let's see if they do anything interesting around level 1.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to maybe opt for something, because they're rushing out of the base here, and Tenslot hasn't even bothered to put the spear onto some support, so really looking for the speed in this one. And they're just heading towards that. Both teams actually are heading towards that bot side, so might be looking like a little bit of action in this level 1.
Yeah, but seems Javelin Gaming have stopped very short, and that's going to be the spear used now, so they'll have it for this fight, if there is one.
Yeah, just creeping in there. It looks like they haven't been spotted, but Javelin Gaming are hovered far enough up, and the Moo might be caught here.
That's going to be the Moo engaged on there. That's going to be him having to flash, and Lee actually follows it through. The concussive blow's almost stacked, but not quite enough. Some support taking pulverize level 1 knocks them up, and that's the Nidalee flash blown and almost going down.
Yeah, I think Lotus Beta, if he'd actually flashed to get one more auto, might have been able to get the kill there, because he only needed one more stack in the concussive blows, and that does deal extra damage as well on top of that. So might have been able to pick up an early kill there, but might have been a bit afraid of maybe the Alistair, the Alistair coming over the wall and knocking him up underneath the tower. But might have been able to pick up an extra kill, but gone for the safer play. But we'll have to see if he's now able to take advantage of the Moo's flash being down. He probably won't be able to unless he catches him in his own jungle or in a counter gank, but I don't think the options are really there available for him.
But even still, if you look at that, they still gained something of an advantage, because they have those deep wards now. They'll see Nidalee on the buff and her starting Krugs, so they got something out of it, and they got the flash as well, so some advantages drawn thus far for Team Flying Ostriches.
Yeah, exactly, and this was the pressure that we thought they might be applying in the early game, so really coming out of the gate early for this one. And we'll have to see if they're able to keep it up, as they're just putting a little bit of pressure here. So it looks like with that pushing power of the Tristana, Deputy Tank will hit level 2 first, but I think they're just that little bit too far under tower to really take advantage of that level 2 spike there.
Yeah, and I think they pushed it in to get the level 2, but at the same time they pushed it in so far, I think is what you're saying as well. But I can't see too much happening here until about level 3, especially considering some support can easily disengage at around that point if necessary. So it'll be really on the junglers to start something, and Lee Sin is actually hovering around. Might go for a lane gank, but there is a ward there.
Yeah, I think he's just going to look towards that scuttle crab. But that's kind of it. Yeah, he's just taking that down, getting a little bit of health back, keep himself healthy through his clear. Because he Nidalee has already finished her blue buff and looking towards this top lane, but there is a ward there for Malphite.
Yeah, but he's pushed in fairly far, and Nasus could have Wither at this stage, so they are going to try it anyway top, and that's going to be the spear missing, and realistically not really going to be able to do much more after the fact.
Yeah, just trying to get a few extra autos in with that red buff and relieve some of the pressure that Lemon Lover was feeling there, but not really going to be able to do much. Yeah, I think that Lee's going to have a little bit of a hard time here with so many of his lanes pushed in. He'll just have to opt for the farm rather than those ganks. Because of course Malphite trying to push the Nasus in to try and maybe lose some of those stacks to the tower in the early game, but of course it does allow him to farm safely, and it makes it very, very difficult for a jungler to get in there and try and kill the Nasus to stop him hitting that. Stop him getting those stacks so early on.
Yeah, and it's actually an interesting thing. A lot of people think that pushing the Nasus in denies him some stacks, but actually I'm going to talk here first. The Moo's going to try gank something, and a lot of damage coming off the Thunderous proc there, but what we were saying is it doesn't deny the Nasus that much, simply because his farming under tower is actually quite simple, because the tower will knock the creeps to enough health to simply be queued, so he'll miss a few, but not as much as if you had a champion that could actually do damage to him.
Yeah, exactly. You really want to try and keep him down, and that's the thing. It's just so hard if you're going to keep him pushed under the tower to try and stop him. As again, there's not really much happening. Jungler is moving around the map, but can't really do much. Yeah, it just looks like it's going to be a farm fest for this early game.
Which is exactly what JG want, even, not what Team Flying Ostriches want, because that means it's just giving the Malphite, the Nasus, time to scale up, and they're in no position to shut him down. It's actually the Moo going to try gank here, and forces the jump, but nothing else, and Lee attempted a gank top and queued a minion.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's a couple of spears now that the Moo has missed when he's trying to go for these ganks, so might need to try and up his accuracy there a little bit with those, because Nidalee's ganks really do rely on that, as you were saying when he went into the top lane there. It's only early games, so he's plenty of time to try and fix that.
Yeah, and I think maybe just trying to fire them from the fog of war might be the thing, because what he's been doing is trying to cut down the distance, which actually minimizes the damage of the spear as well. So using it specifically for the mark means you might as well just go melee range.
Yeah, exactly. But we can't be too critical of the man at this stage. I mean, we've only just started.
Too early yet. There are many more mistakes to be made, I'm sure.
Exactly. Some support, just take a little bit of poke here, but the Major should definitely be able to heal that back up. But the only thing is he has really opted for this Ignite in the bot lane on Alistar, so looking for that kill pressure, but at the moment they just seem to be so passive in farming that it's not really going to do much, so maybe the Exhaust might have been a little bit of a better option for those later game fights.
It's possible, but at the same time perhaps they're just waiting for their level 6 all-in or to have a jungler around, but yeah, I mean, they should have kill pressure here, but it's going to be difficult to jump on top of a Tristana Braum until you have things to actually hard engage them, like that Fate's Call.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the thing is with the Callista as well, even though the Braum can put up the Unbreakable, it doesn't really stop Callista much, because of course she still stacks up those Ren stacks in Braum with the shield up, and that's where the majority of her damage will be coming from. So she still should be able to put a good bit of damage even with that up.
Yeah, but we're seeing the move, another gank mid just not coming out, and another spear missed, I think, so needs to just be a little more selective maybe with the ganks, or have better setup from the laners, because at some point it's starting to look like there's slight miscommunication there.
Yeah, we could see that a little bit in the bot lane as well, see that in the bot lane as well, where some support probably could have moved up a little bit to try and get that headbutt pulverized combo off, but it looked like the Moo even was just that little bit too far ahead of him and wasn't able to capitalize on that, as he does go in now.
Yeah, but that's actually going to be a few Ren stacks, but it's going to be more damage onto some support with those concussive blows and that explosive charge, and just this is the struggle of Alistar trying to all in. Really needs that Windspeaker's blessing just to sustain back up after trades like that just aren't going in their favor.
Exactly, but he should be fine there. I mean, of course, Braum doesn't have that much sustain on him. He only has the Relic Shield stacks, which of course Alistar is able to equal. So it's more he has effective health, so he can take these slightly worse trades and then heal up over time and eventually will you down that way. But I think with the way that the trades are going, it's going to take him a long time before that really becomes an effective strategy.
Yeah, it just seems like a lack of early game damage on either side. Both of the big early game champions in the game are in the jungle and haven't had particularly effective ganks because both sides are playing either very aggressive or very passive, and just not much openings for a jungler, and it's very slow. Yeah,
exactly. Lee's actually looking for something in the bot lane. But of course Tristana is still going to be able to just push this wave in, so it's not actually going to hit that bush unless they want to push it the whole way into tower and then try and make it bounce, but he's just going to be sitting in that bush, probably wasting a little bit of time here.
Yeah, even if Tristana starts to go even in CS, it still means the wave is going to push just because of that E passive, so it means that Lee is going to be wasting his time if he tries to wait for a lane gank that far back.
Exactly, but I think he just kind of feels a little bit useless at this stage of the game. Of course, because so many of the lanes are pushed in, he's not able to do much. And Nidalee, of course, has been trying to make that pressure, but hasn't been able to land the successful spears to keep it going. Mossy's really putting some damage on Lemon Lover here.
You're seeing nice damage at level 7 from him. The Grasp of the Undying actually doing most of it along with those W autos, so interesting trades here, and he might actually be able to all in fairly soon. He has the ultimate up, but as does Nasus, which gives him that much more tankiness in an all-in.
Yeah, he does have to be a little bit careful though, because of course Nasus has to be able to put that ult on himself to be able to get the extra health. So if that ult does come in, Malphite does have a little bit of burst, so Lemon Lover will have to be careful about that. But I think at some stage here now he will back, because he hasn't backed, whereas Mossy does have, has already picked up that Glacial Shroud, so we can see he's trying to back there now and probably TP back into lane, because he's not going to be anywhere near as effective as Mossy in a TP gank, so there's no real point for him to try and follow those.
In fact, he kind of wants Mossy to TP away from the lanes so he can get that free time with the tower, and it will depend how many stacks he's gotten at that time and how effective Malphite's TP is as to how that turns out.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit curious about the backing times that we're seeing coming out of Malphite here. I mean, that's his second back, and Nasus hasn't backed at all yet. And we can see that he's got nearly a 20 CS lead already up in that lane, which is definitely not what you do not want to be seeing when you're facing a Nasus. So I think he kind of needs to stick around a little bit longer in that lane to put more pressure down onto Lemon Lover here.
He went straight for that Sheen though. You could see he was building towards the Frozen Heart with that cloth armor and Glacial Shroud. Decided against it when he realized he can actually do damage to this Nasus. But he mightn't have that for very long, because Nasus is eventually going to back and come back with more items, which will probably give him a bit of tankiness.
Yeah, exactly. And Nasus is already sitting up just under that 170 mark stack, so he's doing quite well for himself on those stacks. So maybe we do need to see a little bit more pressure, some support coming in.
Yeah, but that's going to be quickly dodged out by Deputy Dank. Didn't even have to blow the ultimate, so maybe a bit too much. And Lotus Blade actually kicking Padward to safety, and the move planning on going in by himself, not so much going to walk away.
Yeah, it just seems like a series of unfortunate events there. Some support not able to get the headbutt back in underneath the tower, but of course Deputy Dank has so many escapes from that, as he is again going to take a little bit of pressure as Padward has got out.
This is actually a nice little combo here from Fardio, but Wild Growth, as we mentioned in Jam Select, is enough to save him. And again, while plays are attempting to be made around the map, it just seems that they don't either have the damage or just slight misplays are costing them kills all over. And that's actually going to be Lotus Beta going in under his tower. That's going to be the flash. That's going to be the two flashes at first blood for Lotus Beta, and that's going to be him going down to the tower. But now it's the Moo against Fardio, and should be able to get away from this. Mossy's actually going to 1v1 in the top lane, and as Fardio just walks away.
Yeah, I mean, Lemon Lover trading back here, yeah.
Yeah, Lemon Lover might actually have this. Sitting on top of the armor shred is not the right call for Mossy, and now you can see the benefit of items and that armor shred on Lemon Lover.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage that's being put out, and you can see how much he's stacked up, just how hard that Q hits when he does get the Sheen proc as well. So Mossy suddenly in a lot of trouble in this top lane.
Yeah, you see he's got the makings of an Iceborne Gauntlet, decided to build a Kindle Gem as well, just to make sure he has as much CDR as early as possible. That's 30% CDR just with those three items.
Yeah, that's an awful lot there, and it's going to say as well for this bot lane, I actually like, although some support is taking a lot of damage here, because he's playing so far forward every time the minions hit the tower, it actually means that there's very little damage that's being put down onto that bot lane tower by Deputy Dank. So that tower is going to stay there for a long time, and of course, until they're able to push out and take advantage of the Mossy's TP. Sorry, until they can take advantage of Mossy's TP and let these guys push out, there's not much he's going to be able to do in that top lane against the Nasus. So suddenly, this TP that he seems to be holding on to for a long time, that's let Nasus build up this lead, is basically going to nothing.
Yeah, and Lotus Beta spotted out by a ward there, uses his own pink to get it out, and didn't even notice the other pink ward he walked over in the river. It's keeping Nasus particularly safe, and good early pinks from Javelin Gaming also shut down any possible flanks from Lee Sin.
Yeah, exactly, and as well, because Nasus is opting towards that Glacial Shroud, he's going to be very, very tanky, so if Lee does try and go up to that top lane, it's going to be quite hard to take him down, especially with the ult, as we're talking about.
That's going to be him landing on Padward though, going to look for the kick this time, maybe in the right direction, but Wild Growth keeps him off anyway.
Yeah, the junglers just don't seem to be having any success here, apart from that one where he towered over his Padward's cut out.
But that's actually, the Wild Growth is down this time, so maybe this ult might kill him. Just not comboing as efficiently as possible, but hasn't even kicked him out of lane. Actually, I thought he had, but again, no. And Lemon Lover probably going to stack this, and he does, but at least Sin's around. Mossy is going to all-in him at this point, and Lemon Lover probably going to ult now and see if he can turn this around. The Armor Shred's actually on the wrong side. A good kick there kicks him out of the Armor Shred, and that's actually going to be Lemon Lover taking the kill. Mossy should have this, though. The Moo actually tries to heal him, but Mossy has enough damage to end this. But Mossy doesn't have ultimate now, and the Moo has enough damage. Those red buffs are really starting to hurt, but is going to be a combo onto Deputy Dank, another play around the map. But you can see 10 slot really struggling at getting any of these marks off with the Rend once Braum shields.
Yeah, exactly. The Moo again missing those spears. He's sure this is maybe the champion that they opted for, but he's not showing up on it at all so far, and he had to back off there because Vel'Koz was roaming up from the mid lane, so not able to follow Mossy as far as he probably could have, just in case that Vel'Koz was to come in as well. So just really, again, the jungler is just having no real impact, but my god, that damage Nasus puts out, that was silly.
It was, and on top of that, it was a 1v2 and ultimates used from the other side, so that's really got to worry, especially considering Nasus isn't an early game champion. This is supposed to be something that needs time to scale. He's been given this time already, and he's come out stronger for it, and we can see those Swifties finish now. People will struggle to escape him.
Yeah, exactly. I think, though, that Lemon Lover maybe should have flashed away after he got the kill onto Lee. He still is holding on to that flash. He could have flashed away from Mossy as well and actually allowed the move to heal him and got away from that gank as well, probably. But I suppose hindsight is 20/20.
Unlikely Sin's side. But I think the big thing was, as you said, just they weren't expecting the amount of damage from Nasus. And we even saw that in those lane trades when Malphite realized he had the damage to actually hurt him, and later on when he almost out-traded the Malphite and killed him.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's only going to get worse from here. Nasus is sitting again still on that CS lead. He got the kill onto Lee, so really no advantage against that. He's gone onto Mossy here.
That's the Armor Shred, but you can see it's really not doing so much now that the Iceborne is finished. So it will probably be much more difficult for him to get kills as the Moo almost gets caught out, but does manage to pounce the wall.
Exactly, and of course, it's kind of the thing is as well that although the Moo hasn't really had great success with his ganks, he has a massive CS lead in that jungle, so he's going to be quite happy coming out of that jungle with the amount of farm he has.
Yeah, and considering Lee Sin has a kill to his name for it, but that's actually going to be the Fate's call onto Farbio, and this should be him going down. The Moo tries to combo, but really doesn't have the damage. Will this spear land? No, because some support decides he should be safe. And there's actually going to be the TP in from Malphite, and Subsupport trying to finish him off, not able to. Mossy just here for safety, and might actually be putting himself in danger if he sticks around. Is going to, we'll see if they can actually attempt to dive against him, but it's the rest of the team showing up now. Banter the Opera is here, lands a good Winter's Bite, but can't really follow up safely.
Yeah, I think some support got a little bit too hyped there and actually went before the pulverized cooldown was up, which actually cost him there. I'm not too sure if he thought he could headbutt him into the wall to hold him there, but yeah, it just ends up helping Vardio escape there. And that's actually the bot lane turret going down now as well, because of course Trans left down some support.
That's actually where sub-support landed on. Lotus Beta might be able to finish this off. 10 slots here for a bit of safety and not able to use the kick. Lotus Beta, that's going to be the heal used. Some support trying to escape. forced flash from Lotus Beta, a good E, but Mossy actually whiffs the ultimate entirely. Tenslot in a terrible position though. It's on Padward now, but Deputy Dank is there, and Padward should be going down for this, and just a fight that seems all over the place. The Moo trying to kite backwards, but doesn't have damage or anything he can do for his team. In the meantime though, Nasus has been given free time top.
Yeah, that seems very unusual that it's actually Team Flying Ostriches that are able to collapse faster than Javelin Gaming in Javelin Gaming's own jungle. That really shouldn't be the case, especially when you've got the Moo and Padward sitting in the mid lane. So it's more like you're just feeding these guys in one by one into the grinder here, because that's all it's doing. They're getting ground up and turned into gold for the side of Team Flying Ostriches, and they really need to be more careful of that. Of course, that second tower going down is very, very good for them, but it shouldn't have gone as poorly for them as it has.
Yeah, and I'm seeing sights of what I remember from their Ferocity game, because what happened was the team just didn't seem to coordinate as well as a 4-man unit, but Lemon Lovers still gathered them advantages elsewhere. It's not a viable strategy though, because it will start to cost them if Malphite or anyone on the side of Team Flying Ostriches can get there in time to shut down that Nasus' split push, but he is still farming up, so he still might be the saving grace for this team, especially if this 4-man squad do kind of make their moves a little more coordinated.
Exactly, but I think as well the problem with the Nasus is that eventually the Malphite just won't hurt him anymore. It'll be barely tickling him, and at that point Malphite can just try and clear the waves, which he should be able to do reasonably well. But the problem is, of course, that the Nasus is going to be able to land those Qs directly onto the towers, and they will just melt. I mean, you think Tristana hurts against towers. Wait until you see a Nasus with the Iceborne Gauntlet and a lot of stacks of them try and hit those towers. We saw it a good while ago now, CLG, or for Zion Spartan, even back before he was Darshan. He played it, and just the amount of damage he can put down to those turrets, he can single-handedly win the game if the other four can just stop the rest of the team from backing.
Yeah, and we actually saw that when Darshan did play it, but I like what they're doing here with the Nasus. They're literally just got the 2 towers top lane, send him bot. He can try get the 2 towers there. Malphite's been forced to go down to respond to him, and in a pretty odd turn of events that could turn out well for Flying Ostriches, they're sending their AD carry to respond with towers on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and I think that's all they really can do at the moment, because of course the problem is if they try and move their wave clear to somewhere else, it looks like they might
going to be a dive. Tenslot is here. There's going to be concussive blows now in a sec. Deputy Dank has the damage, and that's actually going to be him going down straight away. Lotus Beta kind of try catch out some support. He does kick him backwards, gets himself headbutted for the cause. That's going to be a wild growth forced onto some support to save him. And now the Moo is here to respond. Can he land the spear? And he does. This could be him getting the kill, and Lotus Beta not quite going down, and that's actually going to cost the Moo his life. Not really a trade they needed to go for. Some support just going to walk away here, and their wave clear is still alive in Padward, but another trade not going their way.
Exactly, the Moo landing the spear finally, but actually ends up costing his life, so probably shouldn't have followed that in through the Braum Unbreakable and everything like that, because of course it does soak up a lot of that damage, but again, I just don't understand why Tenslot's sitting around up here. The tower, you could see how low that was. There was no way he's going to be able to defend that against the Tristana. She does have the 2 kills and the rapid fire cannon complete, so she will just destroy Tenslot in any kind of 1v1, and they've no wards on that side. Is actually Lemon Lover in a bit of trouble. Yeah,
but you can see the Lee Sin does not want to repeat it last time, so actually immediately backs off as soon as they pop Lemon Lover's ult there. And now we have a 3v3 in the mid lane.
Yeah, it looked like one of those signs, beware of dog, and the second he saw it, he turned tail, because he did not want any part of that Nasus there. But yeah, that's what we're kind of looking at here. Is just the ward coverage on the team side of Team Flying Ostriches is just so much better. They're like, Javelin Gaming now have wards on that top side of the jungle, but it's too late now. The tower's already gone down. You wanted those wards there already, and now what they really need to be doing is warding up this the bottom side of Team Flying Ostrich's jungle, so that then they can allow this Nasus to keep split pushing. And if something like, as we saw there, the Lee Sin tries to gank, he has that warning and can kind of get himself to safety, or just opt to take the 2v2 but in a much safer standing.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for Javelin Gaming as well was the fact that they had good early wards down, but haven't actually moved them. They just left the pinks where they are and haven't really responded with any other wards, except for, as you said, just now when they needed to. So I think it's just slow adaptations that cost them there. Maybe they can speed them up as the game goes on, but you can see it's already cost them so much that they're completely prepared to be sieged upon.
Yeah, and it's also an interesting build coming in Italy, opting for the Iceborne gauntlets there. Not too sure if I like that. I know they do need the slows, but not really the best choice on Italy jungle right now.
It used to be something on Nidalee Jungle when she was played a little bit in LCS a while ago, but you saw Deputy Dank 420s actually flashed away there, so some odd positioning, and then again another odd choice to actually have to flash. Could probably have just ulted the Alistair if necessary, but that's a flash down and maybe they can do something off it, but it looks like they're actually just going to lose a tower instead.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, with that NASA split push not going anymore, it makes it so much easier for them to group in these kind of situations, which is exactly what Team Flying Ostriches want. They want to be able to force them to defend these towers so that then they can make use of the
Actually, that's
Malphite
actually
there,
Lemon
yeah.
Lover being chunked out. Some support gets a massive 4-man knockup, another knockup there with the wild growth on top of it as well. But Deputy Dank and Bardio are in really good position now. They've actually managed to back off, but it's going to be Deputy Dank going down to the Nasus. The Nasus finally goes down, but you can see the rest of JG are not really good to respond. The Moo actually jumps into the wall instead. 10-slot almost lets himself survive with that fork rocket. The Moo decided to swap out of Cougar form, but it actually does work for some reason. Banter the Opera is there on pretty low health. Bardio is still pretty high health actually and is able to clean up pretty comfortably. It's the Moon now should be able to pounce away here. Is going to be near enough to the tower, and actually Banter the Opera thought maybe I'll go stop him. Oh wait, he could kill me.
Yeah, there's not really the fight that Javelin Gaming really wanted. You're walking into a line into the Vel'Koz damage, which is perfectly fine for him because all of his damage is just straight line damage. So if you're going to walk into it through these choke points, you're going to take an awful lot of damage very, very quickly. And we could see how fast they melted once that fight kicked off, especially when Banter the Opera was able to land that ultimate. So really they need to be picking their fights a little bit more carefully. I mean, that they were trying, I'm assuming, to stop them taking the dragon, but it's only the first dragon of the game. It's not that big of a deal at this point. They could probably have let that go and get that split push Nasus going again, allow him to get the waves set up and really try and take advantage of that.
Yeah, and you could see even when he managed to get on to Deputy Dank there, but if Deputy Dank had just managed to stay up, which he almost did, it was the Ignite that actually finished him off. It's going to be a bit of a struggle, but that's actually Lemon Lover going to TP down now that Malphite's been forced top, and Malphite's going to be there in time though, realistically, but if Banter the Opera goes down, this is still a win for Javelin, and it looks like he will almost certainly. That's going to be the Ren stacks finishing him off, but now Malphite's in a place to respond. Deputy Dank's in a bit of a rough situation. That's going to be a nice flash from some support, but probably should have pulverized first. That's going to be the headbutt, and nothing else. Deputy Dank down to half health, but this should be a tower for Javelin.
Exactly, but that's that miscommunication that we're talking about again. You could see some support trying to make the play with that headbutt, the flash headbutt pulverized, but everyone else on the team had already backed away. You need to communicate to your team, this is what I plan on doing, follow me up. And then if it doesn't work out, you can back away for that terror, but wasting a valuable summoner spell like that is really not worth it if you're not going to follow up.
And you see Vel'Koz clearing the waves pretty effectively along with Deputy Dank, and a nice engage from Mossy. Actually cost the Moo his life, but Lemon Lover managed to sustain through it, and that's going to be the wall growth onto him. Not going to be used to save 10-slot, which does also really hurt their chances of winning. Deputy Dank actually jumps in. That's going to be one kill. Lemon Lover gets him before he jumps away. So nice pick of the AD carry, but it's going to be a lot more going down in favour of Team Flying Ostriches.
Yeah, I feel Javelin Gaming just aren't playing to their strengths of their composition here. You've got the split push Nasus. Keep the Nasus splitting. And it's exactly what we're talking about. You want to be wave clearing with the other four guys. You want to be using them for disengage and healing and sustain rather than opting into these fights, because that's where Team Flying Ostrich's strengths are. This team fight, this Malphite Vel'Koz combo that we just saw come in does so much damage and is able to just melt people. Like the move was just deleted off the map almost entirely out of that. Play to your strengths, don't opt into what the other composition wants you to do.
Yeah, and especially there, I think they're being kind of baited in by the fact that Nasus is getting kills in these fights, and he is one of the main damage sources. But I think what they're missing is they shouldn't be trying to play as far up as they were. They should be trying to play back while Nasus plays up, and then force someone to respond, then you engage. Because in these fights, you're seeing the Malphite's getting the engages because he isn't forced away, and it's Nasus who just is able to put a lot of pressure down, but the team isn't able to respond to him, and he gets burst down not particularly quickly, but fast enough that he doesn't have a huge impact.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see that if the Nasus was to actually go and try and split push by himself, there's no one really to answer that. Even the Malphite hasn't really built maybe the Sunfire Cape. Sure, the Iceborne Gauntlet would help a little bit with the wave clear, but That's not going to clear the way fast enough to deal with what the Nasus has. So just use that, play to the strength of the composition, and I just don't understand why Javelin aren't using that.
What I do like from the Malphite though is that pickup of the Thornmail against a Callista. It means that trying to build up those Ren stacks really costs her.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of health. She does have that Blade of the Rune King, but it's not really going to give her enough sustain to get through it. She will be looking for that, probably with the...
That's actually a locket. Bardio might have a good flank off here with Deputy Danka. That's going to be 10 slot going down first. Not quite. Actually going to be saved by a Wild Growth, but stands in the Vel'Koz ultimate and does get beaten up by it. And a nice flank there from Team Flying Ostriches again to catch out the 4-man squad of Javelin as Lemon Lover tries to go back to the split bush, but Mossy's actually effectively wave clearing and costing Lemon Lover a lot.
Yeah, but it wasn't even the 4 of them getting caught out. It was just the 2 of them just pushed up far too far into that zone where they don't, again, have any vision control. Lemon Lover's actually in a lot of trouble.
But might actually finish off the tower before he does. Doesn't want to really turn on Mossy. He knows he'll lose this fight, trying to sustain up with his Corrupting Potion. Gonna use the Wither, gonna use the Grasp of the Undying. Might be able to escape here because you can just see how slow that Wither makes him, but trying to use his natural inbuilt lifesteal to save him. Doesn't want to keep walking forward, but is just trying to distract the Malphite long enough. His team are actually going to be fighting around the Baron. Baron's going to sustain back up now, and the Moose and some support, in fairness, do a good job at delaying it, but have to make sure they can't just go straight back onto it.
To be honest, that's an overall win actually coming out of that, unless maybe the Moo gets caught out here.
And a nice Winter's Bite there does catch him out. Glacial Fissure as well. Lotus Beta really low. But that's going to be enough CC lock that it doesn't matter. Lemon Lover coming out with the home guards now, trying to get onto Lotus Beta. Maybe a little greedy there as everyone's able to flash away from him. And that's going to be another tower in their favor. And it is Lemon Lover again being the deciding factor. The rest of his team, very few even have a positive KDA.
Yeah, I was going to say that overall I'd put that down as a win for Javelin Gaming there. They got the inhib tower, which is going to make that bottom lane very, very susceptible to this Nasus. He will melt through that inhibitor. And of course, as well, they got that mid lane tower. And they've also pushed them off the Baron. So realistically, even though they got those 2 kills in the mid lane, they didn't actually really get anything for it.
And just for viewers at home, because obviously it is a little small on that Twitch screen, it is 580 stacks that Nasus is sitting on at the moment.
Yeah, that's a big Nasus. But
and I think he's just going to continue to grow. And in fairness, he's been doing an excellent job of keeping Javelin Gaming in an objective, not only even, but they're actually in the lead in terms of objectives.
Yeah, and as well, we could see how low Nasus was when he's trying to fight that Malphite. He still took a lot bigger health proportion off him than he received. So Mossy's really going to have to be careful when he's defending this inhib in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and considering he was able to just walk up and tank the inhib tower for a lot of that fight as well, it means someone other than that Nasus, than that Malphite even, is going to have to try stop the Nasus, or else that's going to be an inhib down.
Exactly. What you really want to see Javelin Gaming doing here is trying to play around that Baron, because if they can force all 4 of the other members in around that Baron area, it means Lemon Lover is free to do exactly what he's doing right now and take that inhib.
But Mossy is actually doing a fair chunk of his damage, and that's going to be Lotus Beta on the way. Lemon Lover needs to ult now, flashes away to get the inhib actually, but he's almost certainly going down. Decides to ult, maybe he can get Lotus Beta in this fight, but you can see the attack speed slow really hurts him, and it is going to be him going down. But again, an objective lead, and in the meantime, because so many people were forced up there, that's going to be the first dragon of the game for Javelin Gaming. So he's getting them all these objectives. All Javelin have to do is make sure they don't get caught out in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly. But we can see that the track record for that is not particularly good so far. They've been caught out several times at this stage, and it looks like they're actually going to look towards this Baron now. And with that Nasus down for 30 seconds and the TP down, there's not very much that the rest of Javelin Gaming can do about this.
And I think it's the right response here for Team Flying Ostriches. They need this so they can actually siege up, but if the Moo comes into a spot, he could probably get rid of Fardio and Lotus Beta in a single combo. They probably don't realize this though, because they have zero vision whatsoever. That is going to be the Moo actually coming in. Does get a nice hit onto Deputy Dank. That's going to be the Malphite TP forced, but also that's going to be Team Flying Ostriches forced off the Baron, which is actually, again, a win for Javelin Gaming.
Yeah, Lotus Beta really needed to back after he'd taken that fight with Lemon Lover in the bot lane to heal up, and because he was so low, it actually means that they can't fight over this Baron. They had the man advantage. The Malphite Ultimate was just coming up as he was TPing in as well, maybe a 1-2 second delay. So they actually really could have taken that fight if they had the opportunity. But of course, because Lotus Beta was too low, it means there's not very much that they can do in that situation because he'll go down so quickly.
Yeah, you see, all Javelin have to do now, they just push up the mid lane as a 4-man squad. They send Nasus to the top lane. They have a bot lane that will automatically push. I don't know why Nasus isn't heading there right now. Gonna take a buff on the way. Nice little slow, I suppose, when he's fighting, because he did opt for the Frozen Heart above the Iceborne Gauntlet, and now he's got that Trinity Force for that extra bit of move speed from the Phage. But that's gonna be just to the headbutt there, not gonna follow up with the Pulverize. Just trying to get as much damage on that tower as possible while Nasus waits in the top lane.
And see, that's the thing now. Mossy has to be committed to this bot lane to try and clear, as you can see there, which lets Nasus do as he wants in the top lane. Of course, with the middle inner tower being threatened here as well, they have to make a decision on the side of Team Flying Ostriches, and right now, they need to try and get this Nasus off that top tower.
They're sending at least 3 up, so this should be a free tier 2 for Javelin Gaming, including the inhib tower as well, just because Lemon Lover has so many stacks. Gonna try return something. It's on Javelin now. They need to go get something elsewhere. He actually wards down so he could TP in as soon as he's back up. That's gonna be a pause coming in while we wait, but I like the little ward there. They should know it's there because it was in the middle of a fight, but if they don't pay enough attention to it, that could be the end of the game.
Yeah, and it's really late calls coming out on the side of Team Flying Ostriches. You could see how far Mossy had pushed that bottom wave in, and he needs to move up faster to try and react to these plays. Nasus takes down tower so quickly, but of course, because there was that indecision between do we hang around and try and take a fight in the mid lane, or do we try and stop the Nasus, they end up losing both, and all they got was a kill onto the Nasus, which isn't, as we've seen, they're not really able to take advantage of that, because time and time again, they try and go towards the Baron, and they end up being pushed off. And of course, because Vardio went down as well in that, they're actually missing one of their main damage dealers and one of the big follow-ups on the Malphite Ultimate. So they can actually maybe, if they play it correctly, win a fight despite the slight goal disadvantage here around this Baron area.
Yeah, and I think it's really odd to see the gold so close, and I've never seen someone have such an issue with their lane opponent when they have a perfect KDA, 4-0-6 versus a 2-5-3 Nasus, and they're just impossible to deal with them.
Yeah, it's just Nasus. They really needed to put more focus on him into the early game, and you could see it's just Moss with those unusual backs. Sure, he picked up the Sheen, which helped him deal the extra damage, but it was the fact that it just let him free farm. He could freeze that wave in underneath his tower and get those stacks rolling. You needed Lotus Beta to go up, try and break that freeze, get it bounced off the tower, and actually try and get Mossy to freeze it on his side, so then Lee could make those plays in the top lane, take advantage of how weak Nasus is in the early game. But it wasn't enough. They just let him get to this power point, and even though he's 2-5-3 down, he is melting through towers, he's melting through inhibitors, and now they've got a really big problem on their side.
He's also melting through champions in some of those fights. He's most of his team's kills because in those fights he was actually able to get in the Tristana. Wasn't actually the correct decision to fight, but even when he made the incorrect decisions, he was the one doing the most for his team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually Deputy Tank jumping forward onto 10 slot, forces the flash, but nothing more. It's going to be them with more Baron pressure now. This is something they should be looking to do. If they go for it though, it's almost certain that as soon as that Nasus gets up, he's going to TP in to try get that, not the Baron, but that inhib in the top lane, possibly Nexus Towers to follow it up. There's going to be them starting the Baron. This is the right call, I think, but they need more people here. Malphite has been left there because he's the only one who can wave clear and still get into the fight, but he doesn't have the TP up, so that's not necessarily the case. Some support actually going to be knocked up here, but that's the wild growth onto him, but they're not really able to do much because the Unbreakable Will is there. That's the Nasus TP that was up, going to be used here to finish off Lotus Beta, and he runs into the wall, going to use his flash though, and he's on Deputy Tank. Deputy Tank has nowhere to go, has to flash away, but Hadward that got him now. If he used the Q, he actually could hit him, but that's going to be the polymorph onto him. The Mook gets him in the end. Lemon Lover using his prowess to just get the rest of the team away, but actually catches Lotus Beta in the middle of that. Doesn't matter if he's fast, Wither will make him slower, and it does seem he's going to stick at top of him. And Mossy is there, but not in time. So now it's Vardio that gets slowed, and he has to flash away as well. And it's Lemon Lover literally 1v3ing right now.
And that's the Nexus turret down.
And the Nexus Tower is also going down. That's going to be Lemon Lover throwing more damage on. That's going to be Baron over for Javelin Gaming. All Lemon Lover has to do is walk at them now, and that's exactly what he's looking to do. All he has to do is try to turn onto Fardio, but gets greedy for the tower. Not that unusual for a Nasus, but they've lost a Nexus Tower, they've lost Baron, and the game doesn't look like it's too far behind.
Yeah, that's just, it's so much that Lemon Lover is getting for his team here, and his score does not reflect it. The amount of pressure he is able to put down with these split push champions is crazy. 921 in kills, and they've already taken a Nexus turret. Two inhib turrets down, nearly a third there with the Nasus on it as well. It's just, they can't do anything against this Nasus. He's too big now, and they've let it get too far ahead.
Yeah, and they didn't get anything off in the early game, and it looked like it was fairly even. But again, when the game looks even and Nasus is in the game, that team is winning.
Yeah, and I don't even know what they're going to be able to do at this point, unless with the Mossy TP they can try and force some kind of fight and maybe win off it, because if they get one gun engage, it is late enough in the game that they can push down. Deputy Dank does do a lot of damage to these towers, and they're already at the mid inhib turret. Maybe they can push through if they find the right engage, but right now if they continue to let this Nasus do as he pleases, they're going to really find it tough.
Yeah, it's actually 10 slot is headed up to the top lane to clear that out, so they're going to try siege up in the mid lane in the meantime, but it looks like Fardio realizes, oh wait, we left the wave behind, so he's going to go collect that for his team. But in the meantime, it's actually, if Javelin Gaming find a good engage here, they should be the ones ahead, but it looks like Malphite has gotten a good flank here, might be able to catch them out, and that's a good kick, followed by a really nice Malphite ult, kills Padward before he can use the wild growth, and Deputy Dank is here. This could be a good siege. They might have to base race the Nasus at this point, and I'm honestly not sure who will win.
Yeah, I think with the amount of people still up for Javelin Gaming, it's actually not going to be an option for them. Nasus is definitely going to win that one because they can just force engage and keep them off it as some support goes in.
Just wasting some time on this side and actually keeping Deputy Dank from getting too many stacks on his explosive charge there, but some support might go down if he does spend too long there, and you can see Mossy attempting to slow him down, but he was actually an auto reset, which means that attack speed slow doesn't really do too much for him, and that's going to be the first inhib going down. Is he going to try trade with Mossy? Doesn't really need to. He can just try run away from here, and that's what he's going to try do. It's actually Lotus Beta that's come back, and maybe he'll try deal with him now. But Deputy Dank fairly low, as is the rest of his team, so if the Moog gets a good spear here, this could be one of them going down, but at the same time, a very risky play, and that's actually going to be the Moog caught out by a good combo from Fardio. And now it's Banter the Opera going a bit too far forward, because maybe he didn't trust in his teammates' damage as much as Fardio knew he had, and Deputy Dank gonna try to chase down the Nasus here, and an ultimate that misses. That doesn't matter though, because they have the seismic shard to slow him down. Lemon Lover realizes this, gonna try return with something, and he does! He gets Deputy Dank with the flash! Can he get any more? It doesn't look likely, but we've seen him turn around worse. He gets the good grasp of the Undying Proc, can't get another Q, which would have actually gotten him more, and you can see Padward trying to get there to wall growth him, but wasn't there in time.
Yeah, but that's left their top inhib open, and 10 slot and some support have made a beeline directly for that. Although the backs are coming in, Padward
that's
might be
actually
able to stop
Padward going to cancel them. No, he's not. He's going to leave him there to get Fardio instead. But it is worth it, because Banter the Opera now has to go help his teammate. Lotus Beta going to try kill Padward. Should be able to get it, but actually misses the Q. This is going to take a little longer than we thought. A good polymorph there, but nice unbreakable actually blocks a lot of the damage from the Glitter Lance. That's going to be the inhib gone down top, and nice chunk of stacks onto Mossy.
Exactly, but again, it's just this kind of a cycle of buying time constantly for people to get back up. They take down Lemon Lover, they might be able to do something with it, but of course, Lemon Lover had to just demolish Tristan in that fight. She went down so fast, but that meant again, it means that then they can't push towers, they can't do very much. And of course, because they were all chasing Lemon Lover, it meant that 10 slot and some support got that top inhib down. So even though they're getting these little kills, it's actually not helping them because they're not getting the objectives, which is what they really need to be looking for. They aren't able to convert it into anything, and it means that they're falling further and further behind despite getting more kills.
Yeah, you can see they're pulling kills all over the map. It's 11-25 in kills, but the gold lead is still 2k in favor of Javelin. They are even in Dragons, and they have had a Baron. Though the Baron was actually, it did go over, in fairness. But again, they're just struggling to respond in any meaningful way. They're currently stuck in their base because they have 2 inhibs down. They have to send Mossy and Lotus Beta to respond. Lotus Beta actually has to ping for help because he's not strong enough to clear super minions. So now it's entirely in the hands of Javelin Gaming, and more importantly in the hands of Lemon Lover.
Exactly, and all they have to do is just let this Nasus push in the bot lane. He can just threaten that last Nexus tower, and they have to respond because he's, as we've been saying like 90 times this game, he takes that down so fast. You need to respond to him, and of course that leaves your mid inhibitor down. And when all three inhibs are down, it's very very difficult for the other team to come back from that.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna try group up to take the tower. Actually, no, he kind of faded to group up, but actually going to go towards that bot, realizing he doesn't have the inhibitor and isn't in a comfortable spot to continue forward. They can get the Baron in 130 if they want to stall out till then, or they can just maintain this push, see if any cracks show in Team Flying Ostrich's defense, because we have seen it previously. When Lemon Lover gets far enough in, Team Flying Ostriches have had a tendency to panic. So see if Lemon Lover can do with that what he has done previously and try get his team an objective lead, but a good defense thus far from Team Flying Ostriches.
Exactly, and I like how far back Javelin Gaming are playing here. They're making sure to respect that flash engage from Mossy. They're not letting themselves get caught out, and it's let this Nasus get into position now. Just enough pressure to keep Javelin Gaming interested, but Lemon Lover actually found Banter the Opera.
And we Banter the Opera, you see he's pretty tanky, not taking too much damage considering how many stacks Lemon Lover has. It's pretty impressive to take as little damage as he's taking. Forced to use Stand Behind Me to get away from him, but again, that's half of Banter the Opera's health gone. And it's let Nasus just continue doing exactly what he's doing. He has to join his team now. And you can see Tristan is actually forced to go to that top lane. A big super minion wave now. So Lemon Lover they can probably look for a dive here if they coordinate it properly, because there's a layer of super minions put onto that last Nexus tower right now.
Exactly, and it looks like they are going to go for this mid
and that's
inhibitor.
just one Q and it immediately takes it down. That's going to be the Fate's call. This could be an engage, and nice Banshee's Veil stops that engage. And Tenslot gets immediately chunked out by a good laser from Fardio, but Fardio is going to be the one going down. Not quite, it's actually going to be a complete burst down of all the main carries of the JG lineup, and they just got obliterated by a really nice combo from Team Flying Ostriches. But in the meantime, that's going to be the last Nexus tower going down, and they lost the inhib tower too. Realistically, what they have to do is keep someone here and send the rest of the team pushing, but because Lemon Lover is still alive, and because the Moo is still alive, they can't do that.
Exactly, and Nasus has that TP as well, so he can just go back to base and TP straight back in. But that was the kind of engage that they needed 15 minutes ago. They have left it far too long. Mossy wasn't able to use those TP, the TP that he held onto for so long in lane to actually find an advantage anywhere, and he didn't use it when Nasus was still kind of struggling to take towers very, very quickly. And it look, if that had happened, 15 minutes ago, where they weren't losing Nexus towers and losing inhibitor towers, they would have been able to take the mid inhib, and suddenly this is a very different game, because of course the four people that are left in Javelin Gaming, despite the Nasus, have to go and defend that, and suddenly the split push becomes a lot less effective. But of course, because they haven't done that, it allows the Nasus to take over the game like we're seeing.
Yeah, and if they attempt this Baron now, it gives Nasus that TP opportunity that you were talking about. But it's on Javelin and the rest of the Javelin squad even. They need the wards. They need to know that when this Baron is started, so that Lemon Lover gets that opportunity. And you can see sending Lemon Lover to the bot lane right now is exactly the call they need to make. They need to send someone back, and if Lotus Beta is the one who goes back, this could be a free Baron for them. But we've seen that Javelin really struggle in the 4v4s, and it's actually going to be Lotus Beta attempting to force something here. Flashes blown from both of them. Not going to be able to get any more. Isn't able to get the insect, and a good headbutt there will cost Lotus Beta. That's going to be him going down to 10 slot. A good ult from Mossy and a good ult from Bardio. That kills 10 slot, and it's going to be Mossy tanking the tower now. Sub support is just in the middle of them, trying to distract as much as possible. When Padward tries to get anything, but that's going to be a nice combo there from the move. Does miss the spear. Could have been a little cleaner, but doesn't matter. As long as Bardio goes down now, this is the game. Mossy is already forced back to deal with the Nasus, and this is the Nasus on the Nexus. This is the game. He's going to TP a little bit of VM, but it's alright because he does end the game, and what a game it was.
Yeah, Lemon Lover just taking over the game. We've seen it time and time again. This split push is just unstoppable from Javelin Gaming, and every single game it seems to be just Lemon Lover taking over. And there was nothing they could do. Mossy tried valiantly there to hold him off, but when Lemon Lover has that much health, that much armor, and that much damage, there's very little you can do.
Yeah, and the only people who were able to do damage from him seemed really prone to getting caught out by the Nasus himself. But in the end, it is Lemon Lover who's almost certainly the MVP of this game, and it is Javelin Gaming who go 3-0, and that's going to be 2-1 to Team Flying Ostriches. Well played game from both sides. That was...